Welcome to the podcast, Karma is Calling, a space where we are awakening to our bodies, opening our hearts, and remembering who we truly are. We are back, baby, with the podcast, Karma is Calling. There was quite a bit of a break, but don't worry, we are here to stay, all right? My name is Lauren. I am the host of Karma is Calling. I feel like this is not just a rebirth of the podcast, but I feel like it's a rebirth of myself, and I'm like reintroducing myself. Okay. I started this podcast a year ago. Literally a week after I launched my first episode, I got pregnant and I just did not have the energy to keep it up while trying to run a business, yada, 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 right? It was exhausting. And so this fell to the wayside. But I think that was actually an intentional thing that my soul needed. I wasn't quite ready yet. I think I needed to get the momentum. I needed to get there out there to be able to return to it now, who I am now after literally going to the depths of my soul over the last year and growing so much, because now I feel less need to be perfect. I feel less need to censor myself. And I'm realizing the best medicine for this podcast is for me to be authentically me. And after giving birth to my fiery, spicy little girl, I feel like a new person. You know, there's this saying of the maiden to the mother to the crone archetype of the women journey here on earth. And the maiden is you're young, you're learning a ton. And then when you become the mother, you root down into this new form of wisdom in a way that you feel so much more deeply, because it's not about you anymore, right? Your ego is set aside and you have this thing that you would do anything for, this unconditional love. Ugh, even saying that, my whole stomach kind of lights up. But with that also comes grief, because you love this thing so much that it literally hurts. And full disclosure, I did not have the moment this child came out, I fell in love. I didn't. Me and my husband, actually, when everyone left the hospital and we were just sitting there, he was like, I didn't have that moment that everyone talks about. And I was like, either did I. Because it was such a journey. And again, I recorded like 3 weeks after my birth an episode with my mom that I will release eventually. There just needs to be audio tuning for it. But it was really hard. It was natural. It was really hard, really painful. And I felt like I was like almost in this trauma state when she first came out. But what's crazy is the last like 6 months of just her growing and my love for her growing, and all that to say, I feel like as I experience motherhood, I can now tap in to even a wider empathy of what's going around in the world. To think about the families in America that are being split up, to hear those little kids on TikTok screaming for their moms not to go. Oh my God, my heart, my stomach, as ICE taken them, separated them. It physically pains me, right? And thinking about how we are as a world watching a mass genocide of an entire population breaks me to my bone. Now, I understand there's a larger mission here. I understand that we are transmuting the shadow energy of the collective. And it's so hard to witness. It's so hard to be here in this here and now. But this was the timeline that the astrology shares, human design shares, gene key shares. So many esoteric, ancient systems have shared. Starting in 2025 to 2027, it was going to be a lot down here. And that's a whole nother episode. But all to say, I feel like going through motherhood, living for someone else, looking in the mirror and realizing I really need to do the whole next level of healing to be there for her, to emotionally regulate myself for her. And it's opened a lot of things in my birth chart that I wasn't even aware of, conscious of before the birth. And a lot of it was my voice and my purpose here. Why am I here, right? And to see everything happening on the world stage, it really ignited this newfound drive of speaking out And I look back on my life and I became a social worker, right? I have a master's in social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And I, for a while, was like, damn, I'm in a lot of debt. You know, I went to school for this, but I'm kind of turning into astrologer. Was it worth it? And I can say with a shout out, yeah, I needed to go to school for social work. I needed to learn the corruption of our systems. I needed to see how systemic everything in this world goes from oppression, not just here in America, but it is filtered all over the world. This matrix we live in is a belief system that has been woven into every single system for it to stay stuck, for the powers that be to stay in power, and for the rest of the people to be slaves to the system, to keep us just where we're supposed to be. But the consciousness level of this earth has awoken. We've grown, and it's time to continue to awaken other souls. Wow, that was a really, really fucking long tangent, but that's why we're here. That is why we're here. And I think a year ago, I was editing myself too much. I thought I needed to be perfect on this. I was like, oh my God, it's a podcast. I have to be perfect. Realizing, no, I just need to show up. I just need to show up. I need to share my voice. That is enough. And the medicine is my voice, is my authenticity. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see where this goes, because I'm going to use it as a way to shed light on things that are happening in this collective world, the astrology, and also just my own personal journey of becoming an entrepreneur. So let's kind of just get into where I'm at right now on a personal level. So I currently have launched an astrology mentorship. I have 10 people I am teaching astrology to. And I've launched at your own pace courses recently, and I'm really leaning into becoming an astrology teacher. Of course, I still do one-on-one readings and I love coaching, but I have found that teaching is my greatest passion, and it's totally in my chart. But what's so cool about it is I wouldn't be where I'm at right now on June 19th if it wasn't for this spring. So I gave birth in November. And after about a few weeks of birth, I went right back to work and I was seeing therapy clients. And I love my clients, right? They were so empowering for me to watch them transform and me to have these deep connections with them. But ultimately, I felt like it just wasn't lighting me up like it used to. And I was telling my husband this a lot of like, I just don't know if I have to be away from my daughter, like I want to be doing something that literally lights me up. And in human design, I'm a manifesting generator. So like when I am doing something I'm passionate about, my body like buzzes and I just get so excited. And every time I would get a booking for an astrology reading, I would buzz during it. And I would, no matter how sleep deprived I would come out of those sessions just empowered and excited. And I just kept telling my husband, like, this is what I meant to do. Like, when can I make that leap? But we kept saying, well, you know, she's young and da 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 da. Well, on March 14th, the eclipse, my husband was laid off. No fucking joke. He was literally laid off from his corporate job. And he looked at me and he goes, this is the time. He was like, I think you need to make the jump. We have a severance. We have unemployment. Let's see what you can do. I believe in you fully. And he's like, I'll work for you. Which, mind you, I have been begging him for 3 years now that we are meant to work together. And he was like, nah, 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 nah. And finally he was like, fuck it, I'm in. I feel like this is the universe saying, do it. So let's do it. So April, I fully left traditional therapy. And we've been all in since. So it's been exactly 2 months, mid-April. And I think I was a little naive with being a full-blown entrepreneur, because I feel like when you're in private practice as a therapist, there is some guardrails, right? There is a safety net, right? With insurance, and every week you show up with the same clients and there's always a need. But astrology is different, right? It's a little bit more progressive. I think where we're moving towards, I have no doubt that I'll be fine, but still people are still like, astrology? Like they know their sun sign. They don't get the complexity of it. And so it was wild because for that month, all of a sudden, all my bookings stopped, all of them. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Like I always have bookings. I was burning myself out by having astrology and therapy clients, and they all just stopped. And this is where I had to look in the mirror and do some intense work. I got a coach And I really worked on this scarcity mindset of, am I good enough? Can I speak my truth? And I realized how much I've been watering down what I want to say online because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be perceived as an authority. I wanted people to understand. I didn't want to be called out and avoid conflict. All these things that I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize I was functioning from there because I was so used from functioning from safety, stability, from a therapist perspective. Don't talk about yourself, focus on the client, be very scientific, evidence-based, yada, 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 yada. Even though I didn't really feel that was me as a therapist, it still was filtering through, right? The subconscious, because that's what you are literally drilled into through undergrad, through your master's program, through licensure, right? So I had this month where like I didn't have really a lot of one-on-one clients. And I had to work through the fear of what if I'm fail? But my soul was like, you're not going to fail. This is what you're supposed to do. And what I preach, right? When you follow your passions, you don't fail. The universe provides. And as I was working through all these money blocks, money just started showing up. And I'm not fucking joking with you. A check from 20, a double refund, that was like a lot of freaking money. Different things were coming our way. And it showed me the universe is here to support me. And I don't have to know where the next check is coming from. I don't have to know where the next payment's coming from. But if I keep doing my work for the collective, I will be supported. And so during this month, what I was doing was I was getting my mentorship launched. I was getting this shadow and soul course launched. And so what that is, because I wanted to be an astrology teacher, like as much as I love one-on-one group, I really, really do believe I'm here to spread and educate astrology. And I'll get to that later of how I use astrology now, because that's even evolved. But during this time, I launched this big ticket thing as my astrology mentorship. I had no launch experience. I had no idea that I was supposed to have a funnel and a freebie to collect information and just, I didn't know anything about marketing. I was a trained therapist astrologer. I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about sales. So I get this coach and she's like, all right. So I was basically playing catch up because I launched before I had anything ready. And then simultaneously, I'm trying to create this shadow and soul course that was just truly channeling through me. And it was like my life's work of becoming a therapist and an astrologer in one course, walking people through their shadow parts of their birth chart, like the moon and Saturn and Pluto, and how does it show up in your unique chart to understand why you're here and what to heal. And so that's on my website. So I'm like creating a course, I'm launching a high ticket mentorship, and it was exhausting. I had to learn so much of the technical, so much of the business while simultaneously creating, while simultaneously looking in the mirror, because entrepreneurship is a fucking mirror, you guys. Wow. It has tested my ego in more ways than I could ever imagine, right? Not only just not getting money or not flopping on videos, but also working with my husband and trying to communicate there and hold each other accountable. Like it was so wild. And mind you, my daughter still doesn't sleep. Okay. She's 7 months. She's still waking up every 3 hours, but at this moment in time, every 2 still. So I'm sleep deprived as well. I'm still breastfeeding, right? Like this was the most wild months of my life. But fast forward to today, we're doing it. This month, already on June 19th, I have made more money than I was previously. I made the same amount of money that my husband and I were both of our salaries put together. And who knows if that will continue, but it's a nod to the universe to keep going. And I know I'm not the only one out there. I know there are so many people leaving their corporate jobs and starting their passion, starting the entrepreneurship journey. And I firmly believe the more of us that leave corporate America, the big machine or corporate world, right? It doesn't have to just be in America. That is when the world's going to shift, because what happens is the money is back in our pockets and we get to choose where we purchase our money or our items. We can barter, we can trade, we can devalue money and go back to truly our valuing things. I don't know. I know that's like a huge vision, but I can see it. And I believe entrepreneurship heals you. I know why people say it's not for the weak, because it's not for the weak, because you get triggered over and over again and it's easy to give up. It's easy to go back to safety and stability and be told what to do and blah, 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 and have that net to fall back, to be lazy. No. Entrepreneurship, you have to show up every day. You have to be passionate in your product. You have to embody your product. If you're just doing it for money, I see why people burn out. I see why people quit. So I really feel like more and more people are going to be stepping away because their soul is so not aligned in what they're doing. They've been programmed to believe I'm supposed to, right? Whenever you say I'm supposed to, that's the ego. It's a program to go this route for safety and security, but I'm not happy. And so I'm really, really excited for our future. And the astrology reflects this. Okay. Saturn's in Aries, Neptune's in Aries. That is creating us to go after our own passions, our own needs. And another thing that entrepreneurship has done for me is it's expanded my astrological practice because I wasn't splitting my attention anymore to traditional world and my astrology realm. I don't even know how to describe it. Like when I was in the therapy realm, I felt like, again, I was censoring myself and I didn't have as much time or energy just to sit with the planets and let them flow through me, let me feel into the energy because I had so much on my plate. But once I left traditional therapy, I've been able to just sit and to read charts and to read the energy every day and to really absorb myself in astrology. And what that has done is I feel like it's blasted my channel open and I'm channeling the energy just so much more fluently. And I've created this relationship with my guides that I had no idea could become so potent. Like I feel as they're always with me. I feel like I channel the planets, but then I'm realizing no, the guides use the planets and the signs as my language. And I'm going to have a guest on here. I'm literally so excited for her to be on here. But she's going to talk about this. She had her guides, her star family come and visit her and taught her so much about channeling and reconnecting with your spirit guides. And so we're going to do a whole episode on that. But basically, she shares it's really through what your language with your guides, they're going to speak to you through your own language. Okay. And so for me, astrology is my language. And so I feel like leaving traditional therapy has allowed me to fully focus and embody. And they talk about that entrepreneurship, right? Like you have to be all in. You can't be splitting your time and energy. And now I get why. Because when you are all in, you absorb the frequency of that business, of that thing that you're doing. And you can just embody it more. You radiate it, right? It just comes off of you. And that's what I feel like with my astrology practice. It's been so cool. And there's just been so many magical things along the way. So that's just a little update on where I'm at, really high level. And so that's why I'm excited just to be back on the podcast because I think long form content is my jam. I think it kind of just starts to flow. And I really want to practice just showing up, just allowing myself to speak. Maybe it won't resonate some weeks. Maybe it will resonate with a few people. I don't know. But this is more for me to move past the perfectionism. I remember hearing this story that the photography teacher had two groups. One group, you had to take one perfect photo by the end of the term, and then the other group had to take 100 just good photos. And by the end, right, the 100 good photos were better than the one perfect photo because they just got to try and it got better and better. And the one perfect group was trying to make it so perfect that they were never grew and expanded. And I think that was happening with me is like, whether it was on social media, whether it's on my podcast, like I was trying to be so perfect that I wasn't expanding, wasn't practicing, and it wasn't flowing through me naturally. And so the more I get on, the more I just sit here and talk, the more it's going to work. So I'm excited for this series. Again, we're going to go down some rabbit holes, some conspiracy theories that might not actually be conspiracy theories. Like we're about to get weird. We're also about to grow and expand. And again, my whole mission of Karma is Calling is for us to awaken to our karma, right? Awaken why we're here. What do we need to heal? And so I just think I'm way more rooted in that and how to use astrology to do that. Astrology is a tool. Astrology is my tool to channel, to be guided, not so much to predict. I mean, of course, transit readings when I look at people's charts are just so exciting for me to see their evolution and what's coming for them, but really also for the collective of what's coming for us. While the astrology is really, really hard right now, we have some intense things happening in the collective. You can see that on a collective stage, right? War is beginning. And I have this on my YouTube, but when Neptune was in Aries, that's when the Civil War started and the women's suffrage movement started. When Uranus was in Gemini, we had these massive wars as well. And this is all happening again. When Pluto's in Aquarius, we had the revolutions, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. So, we've gone over this, I believe, in this podcast before. So we're not new to the concept that the war is coming. But what we can do is we can use these planets and help us understand why is the war coming. And it's to clear out this negative energy. And I keep talking about how energy cannot be created or destroyed. On an individual level, that's your birth chart, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So all of us are from the same energy, different manifestations, and your birth chart tells you that. It's your own unique recipe for this lifetime, how you physically want to manifest this. But on the collective level, energy is not created or destroyed. So we are in a timeline loop, I swear to God. Just over and over. The timeline is, once again, there's dictatorship on the rise. And it's like, what are we going to do about it? There's a genocide happening. What are we going to do about it? And I see how we are standing up. We're not turning a blind eye. And often we do turn a blind eye and we sweep it under the rug. Oh, well, it's not impacting me. Oh, well, it's not impacting me, right? For generations. And so now people aren't as afraid to stand up. And I think it's truly because people's consciousness is growing and they're putting their ego aside. That's Christ consciousness. If you hear about the coming of Jesus, Christ is coming down, I don't believe it's literally God dropping from the sky and saving all of us. It's us understanding our ego makes us individuals, but we are all each other. We are all a mirror of each other. And when you realize that, you start fighting for one another. That's Christ consciousness, removing your ego, realizing your one little life is not as important as the global entity of Mother Earth either. Going in the weeds now, but I really see us standing up. 13 million people marched. Police chiefs are standing up. People that you wouldn't, Tucker Carlson is even saying, let's not go to war. I was shocked when he faced off with Ted Cruz. Right. I don't align with their belief systems, but everyone has free will, yada, 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 for what they believe. But even they are finding a reason to say no more. Right. Tucker Carlson used to spew bullshit on Fox News. And even he's saying Fox News is a propaganda machine. People are done. People are done being brainwashed. And I think it's because we are so done being miserable. We're done. We're ready to alchemize. We're ready to transform the pain. And all our souls chose to be here at this time. We all have a mission. And more of us are waking up. And that's that entrepreneurship. To loop it all back around, I think that's that entrepreneurship journey. People are hearing the call as Pluto moved into Aquarius. Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see where we go. I'm excited to see the collective, even in the pain, even in the hard times, right? And I'm feeling it on a deep fucking soul level. Tears are shed. If you are going ups and down in your emotions, you're like, why? I'm not upset. What's going on? You're tapped into the collective. I've had more anxiety, more depressive feelings than I've had ever. And it's because I'm finally truly tapping into the collective and realizing this is what we feel, but we can handle it as individuals. We can handle that fear and that sadness. And that's how we transmute it. And we love each other through it. And then all of a sudden they don't have power over us anymore. That fear of them programmed into us, they can't get to us, right? Okay, again, I don't even know if I'm making sense anymore. So I am so excited to be here. If you are looking for just a way to explore your birth chart further on your own time to do shadow work, check out my Shadow and Soul course. Subscribe to this podcast. We're going to get real deep with some amazing, amazing guests to come. And follow the journey. Be tapped in. You are also here to heal. Everyone has a role here on earth. Everyone. So your birth chart will tell you what that is. So if you need a one-on-one reading as well, I'm also here. But welcome back to Karma is Calling. I'm excited to continue to show up for you. Keep me accountable. I'm going to show up for you guys. And we'll go from there. Thank you so much for tuning in to Karma is Calling. I hope today's conversation awoken something within you. And if you found this episode nourishing, please take a moment to follow, rate, and share it with someone else who might need this medicine. You can work with me at thelunarchild.com. Follow me on TikTok for all astrological updates at The Lunar Child, and follow me on YouTube for the long conversations where we do deep dives at Karma is Calling. But until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep answering the call.